Welcome back, everybody, to the episodic drama series known and called as the Xbox Activision Deal Turns. I am your host, Centurion1307, and today's show is sponsored by today's WTF moment. And that occurred when I was chatting with somebody at my job who did not even know that Xbox was trying to buy Activision. The person who didn't know was actually a serious PC gamer who can tell me all sorts of crazy stuff about playing games on a PC, but he did not even know that Activision was trying to be bought. Absolutely mind-blowing. Moving on. So, where do we start with this whole deal with Activision? For starters, again, unless you've been living under a rock, the deal was blocked. And let's just face it, at this point, the ABK deal is the gift that keeps on giving. So, where do we start? Is the appeal even going to work? We do not know. I don't know. I'm not trying to give you false hopes here, but to be honest, don't listen to a lot of people that think that, this or that can happen. The real fact of the matter is, the CMA only answers to CAT. Their name stands for the Consumer Affairs Tribunal. CAT will handle the idea that an appeal can even take place. Before the CMA can even be appealed, CAT has to okay it. And the only thing that CAT will do is ask the CMA to reevaluate the evidence and reconsider their position. And most of the time, the CMA comes back with the same decision. But there is something that might potentially influence that decision, and we're going to start there. Florian Mueller over at Foss Patents tweeted something out that I found quite interesting. And I even did a little bit of digging into it myself to see if this was possible. But let's just first start with the tweet. I just found an indication that the UK government will now be asked to overrule the CMA's outrageous Microsoft Activision Blizzard decision. It does have the statutory power to do that, and here it should be exercised. In his BBC video interview, Microsoft president said, "And we play a vital role in not just supporting business and nonprofits, but even defending the nation from cybersecurity threats." This is important because it shows importance to economy and national security, which are statutory justifications for the UK governmental override of a CMA decision. It is not unusual for a government to overrule a merger blocking decision. In Germany, it has been done on some occasions under a different law, but still. And for those that really don't understand that, the CMA has to answer to the UK government, the parliament. And when it comes to situations of national security and affecting the economy, the UK actually put some rules in place just a few years ago to give them the power to override the CMA. So even Florian Mueller broke that down in another tweet, and I'm going to show it to you right here. On potential ministerial override of irresponsible CMA ruling, ministers can only intervene in mergers and takeovers, foreign or domestic, that give rise to specific public interest concerns of national security, financial stability, or media plurality. And in the statement provided by the UK government on these changes on the UK CMA website, Monday, the 11th June 2018, rules to strengthen the government's powers to scrutinize mergers and takeovers that may raise national security concerns have come into force today. Changes were made in order to address changes in the market. The UK government amended the threshold test for businesses in the military, dual-use, computing hardware, and quantum technology sectors that are most likely to have implications on UK security. The changes allow ministers to intervene on certain grounds when the target business's UK turnover is more than £1 million, down from £70 million under the previous rules. They also removed the requirement that a merger or takeover in these sectors led to an increase in the parties' combined share of supply of relevant goods or services before the government is able to intervene. At this point, the UK government is able to have a sit-down meeting with CAT and the CMA and potentially ask them to reconsider and hatch out another way to get this deal across the finish line, because at this point, The optics of what have been created by the deal being blocked are pretty bad and detrimental to the UK economy. I have already got a few people debating me about this in my DMs. I have the absolute respect for them. But as I put out there, that the optics of this are extremely bad. And it appears now that I am not the only person with the same views on the optics. Florian Mueller even came out with yet another tweet that I caught that seems to go down the same path of what I've been trying to say about this whole situation. According to the Financial Times, UK tech scene raises alarm in response to the CMA decision to block Microsoft Activision Blizzard. Entrepreneurs and investors are expressing concern that the decision was a sign the country's status as Europe's leading tech hub was slipping. And in the Financial Times article, and I want to just also point out that I will not put it on the screen. They are very, very, very controlling of the images of their articles, and I am not going to get a copyright strike. I'm sorry, but the link will be down in the description below. Check it out there. In the article, though, they outline that Activision said that it would reassess our growth plans for the UK, adding that the global innovators, large and small, will take note. Despite all its rhetoric, the UK is clearly closed for business. And Ophelia Brown, founder of venture capital firm Blossom Capital, which has previously invested in London-based startups Checkout.com and Digest, said the CMA decision does the reverse in terms of encouraging innovation. And she added it is more bad PR for UK tech and very disappointing. Tech industry figures are particularly worried about the recent hawkishness of the CMA, which appears to be staking out a position as a global leader in scrutinizing big tech in the wake of Brexit. And for those that aren't informed, Brexit is when the UK decided to leave the EU. The British government no longer wanted to be part of the EU regulations, which is why now they stand alone from the EU and have their own decision powers, and it was referred to as Brexit. And since that day, they have been trying to firmly assert themselves as their own standalone world power, and there are some now that are actually feeling that the way they have been going about this is a little questionable. And they point out right here that in very recent incidents, the CMA has targeted Meta and Deliveroo. The Deliveroo founder even claimed the CMA is trying to kill companies, and when she was actually interviewed by the CMA over an 18-month period of time over taking some kind of money from Amazon, they claimed that the CMA even treated them like a criminal. So they didn't really have a really great experience with the CMA. And the CMA has also been talking about the whole idea of cloud. That's the whole reason why they claim to be blocking the deal in the first place. But the claims of cloud growth have been denied by cloud providers and that had deals with Microsoft. And these cloud providers like Nvidia, Boosteroid, Ubitus, they were all looking forward to the addition of the Activision Blizzard library of games to be added to their services, so that way they could help grow their cloud gaming services. So it appears that the CMA, by trying to protect cloud, is going to actually hinder the growth of cloud and the innovation of the technology that surround the cloud market. So again, the optics of this look very, very bad. And this what the CMA has done is completely overshadowing the efforts of the United Kingdom Parliament to establish the United Kingdom as a big tech sector for growth and innovation in the world. This has completely turned off big tech investors, big tech innovators, and other members of any tech industry or a lot of entrepreneurs from believing that the UK is a great place for a startup, because you could really run into a wall with the CMA if you ever try to expand. So let's really kind of wrap this up. Do we even think the appeal process is going to work? Can Microsoft and Brad Smith over at Microsoft create some kind of form of pressure on the UK government to somehow put pressure on CAT and the CMA? I really have no idea at this point. This could go any direction. But like I said earlier, the ABK deal is the gift that keeps on giving, and I enjoy covering this whole fiasco at this point. And for those that are enjoying this whole thing, please like and subscribe down below. Leave me comments. I'm curious on what your thoughts on this. Do you feel that Microsoft should just move on, or should they fight for this deal? Do you not care? I also have another video that's going to be coming out here in the next day or two on how this deal is not only going to affect the UK, but it's going to affect all of gaming consumers, the gaming industry, and it's also going to have some negative effects possibly on Xbox game studios in particular. So please keep your eye out for that one. Thank you everybody for watching. Again, I am Centurion1307. And always remember, everybody, no matter what anybody says, just be sure to play the games you love on the platform you prefer, no matter what anybody says.